Someone walks away smiling, then looks back like their body forgot to leave. You catch it for a second and suddenly the whole moment feels different. Maybe it was after a joke, a goodbye, or one strange pause in conversation. Nothing obvious happened, but something in you immediately knew that glance meant more. You have probably felt this before without having clean words for it. It is one of those reactions that looks small, but changes everything underneath. Because when someone keeps glancing back, they are rarely just checking space behind them. They are checking a feeling, a person, a possibility, or something unfinished. And that is why the reaction feels heavier than the movement itself. Most people explain it with something simple, safe, and usually completely wrong. They say it means attraction, curiosity, or simple awkwardness, as if one label explains every human contradiction. But people do not glance back only when they want something from you. Sometimes they glance back because they are fighting what they feel inside. Sometimes they glance back because their face moved on before their emotions did. Sometimes they glance back because part of them wants distance, while another part resists it. That is the hidden tension you can feel before you can explain. The eyes often reveal the argument the mouth is trying to keep quiet. You might have seen this after a conversation that seemed normal on the surface. Someone says, "See you later," then turns, then checks again as if pulled backward. Not because they forgot something, but because leaving did not feel as settled as it sounded. That tiny second look can carry uncertainty, regret, relief, hope, or private conflict. And if you miss that layer, you miss the real conversation entirely. A lot of social tension lives exactly there, between the spoken ending and the unspoken return. You know that strange moment when someone smiles warmly, but their eyes drift somewhere else. The smile says ease, but the eyes say they are still managing something. That mismatch matters more than people realize because comfort and conflict can appear together. Human behavior is full of double signals, especially when emotion has not caught up yet. The body starts leaving before the mind agrees, and the eyes expose the delay. That is why a glance back feels personal, even when no words changed. It is usually emotional leakage, not performance, and your nervous system notices before your thoughts do. The first everyday version happens during conversation, right when eye contact should be easiest. You say something simple, maybe a compliment, maybe a question, and their eyes flick away. Then they come back quickly, almost too quickly, like they do not want you noticing. That fast retreat and return often means your words touched something unexpectedly alive. Not always attraction, though people love reducing everything to attraction because it feels easier. Sometimes it is insecurity waking up under attention, especially when they did not expect to feel seen. A compliment can feel good and threatening at the same time emotionally. If they want approval but distrusted, the eyes will often betray that split. You may see warmth in their voice, but caution in their gaze. That is not fake warmth. It is real warmth tangled with fear, doubt, or self-protection. And that tangle is exactly what makes the moment unforgettable to you. The second version happens after distance appears, especially after tension, disagreement, or emotional withdrawal. Someone becomes colder than usual, ends the interaction, then looks back more than once. That reaction can feel confusing because their face says done, but their attention says not fully. This is where people misread everything because cold behavior can still hide unfinished emotional involvement. A person can act distant because feeling too much suddenly feels more dangerous than feeling nothing. So, they control the face, shorten the words, and let the eyes do the leaking. That backward glance is often not a signal of confidence at all. It can be a signal of unfinished stress, where the bond still matters despite visible emotional armor. People look back at what still has power over them inside emotionally. That power might be desire, but it might also be hurt, shame, or unresolved attachment. The third version is even subtler, and you have probably felt it in groups. Someone agrees too quickly, smiles on time, but keeps checking your reaction afterward. They seem socially smooth, yet something in their attention keeps returning for confirmation. This often happens when someone wants acceptance more than they want honesty. They say the right thing fast. Then their eyes go back to measure impact. Their eyes are asking silent questions. The mouth was too careful to speak aloud. Did you believe me? Did I fit? Did I say enough? Did I reveal too much? This is why some normal interactions feel weirdly exhausting afterward to you. Your brain is tracking the mismatch between polished words and restless monitoring. And that mismatch quietly tells you the moment was less settled than it looked. Here is the deeper pattern underneath all three situations you keep noticing. People glance back when their internal state does not match their social behavior. The body keeps moving, the script keeps speaking, but emotion keeps asking for one more check. One more look at you can briefly reduce uncertainty they have not managed internally. One more look at the room can help them regulate feelings they cannot explain yet. One more look at the exact place something shifted inside them emotionally. This is especially true when a person is trying to appear composed. Composure is often where leakage becomes easiest to notice for you later. Because controlled people do not usually leak with words first at all. They leak with timing, eyes breathing, pauses, and those tiny returns of attention. That is why eye behavior matters so much, because attention moves before explanation becomes available. Eyes do not only show interest, they also reveal resistance, caution, guilt, and emotional overload. They show where the mind keeps going when the person wants to look controlled. And repeated glancing is rarely neutral once you notice its timing closely. Timing changes everything, because the same glance can mean very different things in different moments. A look back after a compliment does not carry the same tension as one after rejection. A glance during silence means something different from a glance after fast talking. A return of eye contact after laughter means something different from one after emotional exposure. The meaning lives in the gap between what happened and when the eyes returned. That gap is often where hidden emotion briefly becomes visible to you. Another thing people miss is direction, because not every look away means the same thing. Some people look down when they feel exposed or ashamed suddenly inside. Some look sideways when they are managing social risk or reading safety. Some hold eye contact too long because breaking it would reveal more than holding it. That one surprises people, because steady eye contact is not always confidence. Sometimes it is control, or a way of keeping emotion pinned down. Someone can look directly at you while still feeling deeply guarded inside. The clue is whether the face, body, and timing support the eyes or quietly contradict them. That is where the real meaning starts hitting sharper for you personally. If the smile arrives first but the eyes hesitate, something emotional is lagging behind. If the words sound relaxed but the jaw tightens, the nervous system disagrees. If they answer quickly but glance back later, the real response may have come late. And delayed emotion is one of the clearest sources of mixed signals. People do not always feel in real time, and social situations often move faster than honesty. Sometimes their first reaction is performance, and the second reaction is truth leaking through. That is why the glance back matters so much more than the first expression. The first expression may be social, but the returning look is often less edited. It happens after you leave the room and they turn for one extra second. It happens when someone laughs, then suddenly checks whether you notice too much. It happens when a friend agrees, then watches your face like they are waiting for permission. These moments are small, but they are rarely empty at all emotionally. They usually mean something inside the person has not settled into one clear position. Wanting and resisting can exist together, and the eyes often expose that emotional overlap first. So can warmth and fear, especially when someone feels drawn in but does not feel safe. So can confidence and insecurity, interest and shame, closeness and the urge to hide. That is why the eyes keep returning, because the emotion keeps returning too. Not to deceive you usually, but to manage something unresolved while staying socially functional. And once you see that, a lot of confusing behavior stops feeling random. It starts feeling human, messy, protective, revealing, and far more emotionally honest than words. The most useful thing you can do next time is slow down your interpretation. Do not rush to label the glance as attraction, guilt, confidence, or rejection. Instead, notice what happened immediately before it and how fast it came. Was there a compliment, a challenge, a goodbye, an awkward silence, or a vulnerable moment? That context will tell you more than the glance alone ever can. The second thing to notice is what the face does at the same time. If the mouth smiles while the eyes harden, do not ignore the contradiction. If the face goes neutral while the attention stays fixed on you, that matters. If warmth disappears from the expression but not from the gaze, something remains emotionally active. The third thing to notice is delay, because hesitation often exposes emotional editing. Watch the pause before they answer, the beat before they smile, the second look afterward. Delay is where the internal negotiation becomes visible to careful observers nearby. Fast behavior can be rehearsed, but delayed behavior often carries the truth of emotional conflict. And once you start noticing delay, social interactions become much easier to read. Not because you become suspicious, but because you become more accurate with people. You stop listening only to words and start listening to timing, attention, and mismatch. You stop asking, "What did they say?" and start asking, "What leaked through?" That question changes everything, because hidden emotion rarely announces itself in a clean sentence. It shows up in a glance back, a pause, a smile that arrives unevenly. It shows up when somebody seems fine, but their attention keeps returning to the exact moment. And those are often the moments that tell the truth about people. If you have noticed one of these moments, trust that instinct more. Your mind may not explain it immediately, but your nervous system usually catches the mismatch. That does not make you paranoid. It makes you more awake to emotional reality. It makes you better at seeing when people are split between what they show and feel. And that skill matters everywhere, in love, friendship, work, family, and the quiet moments after. Because most important human signals are not spoken directly out loud anyway. They flash for half a second, then disappear behind politeness, habit, or self-control. Novi Mind is here for those moments most people notice but never fully understand. So if a glance, pause, or mismatch has stayed with you, share it below. And if you want sharper eyes for the signals hiding inside ordinary behavior, subscribe. The next video looks at why some people answer instantly, then regretfully reveal themselves later.